This episode of the Out of Bounds podcast is sponsored by Fisher Skis, and you can visit them at www.fishersports.com. Hello. This is the Out of Bounds podcast. My name is Adam Jabber, and we have an awesome episode for you today with Chris Benchetler. Chris has been somebody that I've looked up to for a very long time. This is one of those where I was like, I don't know what it's going to be like. I don't know how I'm going to feel talking to somebody like this. And honestly, Chris is such a nice guy and such a genuine human being that it was so easy right out of the gate, and I could have talked to this dude for hours. So thanks to Chris for his time. Can't wait to have him on again. The dude is a legend in the sport, obviously, and we talk about everything from, obviously, his super successful pro ski line from Atomic, which is entering year 15, I believe, at this point. It's really something special. It's one of the most beautiful looking ski lines of all time. It always has been. That's not news to anybody listening to this show, I'm sure. I was thrilled. We also got to talk about things like art, which we spent quite a bit of time on. What's important to him. We talk about the dead, and he kind of changes my mind on the dead a little bit. He also talks to me about NFTs in a way that I hadn't really thought about it beforehand. And again, like, it's still not something that I like. And I still don't like the way Outside is doing it, where they are firing everybody all at once. And then they're like, oh, NFTs, here's this big push. There's all this money, but we're going to cut, magazines and a bunch of staff. And that, to me, if you're going to do that, like, buckle down and, like, save the money where you're going to save it. Don't just, like, cutthroat people. But anyway, nonetheless, stick around in the intro area. We have a news segment that we are launching this week. So I'm going to talk about some current events. It's not going to be very long, but who knows how long it'll be in the future. We'll see what happens as it progresses throughout the season. Obviously, there's a lot of cool shit going on in the snow sports world, and I'm trying to do some stuff that keeps me excited about having a show in general. Not that I'm not excited. I love doing this, and I've never enjoyed a job more than this, but it'll be cool to talk about the week-to-week current event type stuff, and we got some good ones for today, obviously, especially with temperatures dropping. Also, we announced Michelle Parker's new show, Care Less, Do More. As of last week, it will drop October the 11th. Couldn't be more excited for Michelle. She's an awesome human being, and I've said that so many times on this microphone, but it's because it's the truth. So can't wait to do that. Can't wait to announce some show partners for that. And it'll be really cool to just have somebody like Michelle as part of the collective and be able to think the way that she thinks a little more, and kind of get into, just kind of see what that's like. We're going to explore some new stuff this season, and I'm really excited. Gear Guide drops first week of October, so keep an eye out for that. Shane McFalls did all the cover art. Cy Whitling did the inside back cover, and it is awesome. And there is a ton of awesome contributors in that thing. For our first shot, got to tell you, it's fucking good. It's really, really good. So all that, leave a review on the interwebs, wherever you do that, on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts. We really appreciate it. We want to keep growing this thing and keep providing content that people give a shit about. And now, in order for us to keep providing content, we have a couple of ads from sponsors that I really enjoy working with, including the nice people at Woodchuck Cider. Woodchuck makes the best hard ciders that are out there right now. They make things flavors from Granny Smith, Amber, Pear Seco, Sangria, Rosé, Raspberry, Pear, as well as Mimosa, and so many. I mean, there's literally so many. It's so ridiculous. So stuff is really good. They're out of Vermont, so support a Vermont brand and some really cool people who are putting their money in the outdoor space and are doing so in a way that actually makes a difference. You can also check out their tap room, which is located in Middlebury. Ethan, can you make sure I got that right? Middlebury? Scroll down. Now I'm like nervous about it since I said it wrong like a while ago. So Matt's got me all bent about it, but I believe it's Middlebury. If it's not, anyway, go to woodchuck.com/ciderhouse and check that out. It is in Middlebury. It's 1321 Exchange Street, Middlebury, Vermont 05753. Woodchuck.com. Check it out. And now we have Mammut, obviously the best in terms of safety equipment that is available. in the outdoor space, in my humble opinion. The best thing that they offer is the Berry Vox, the Berry Vox S, and you can get 25% off on these things, which they are back up to retail on the website. Use promo code out of bounds 25, capital O, capital B, 25, and you get 25% off a new beacon, an avalanche safety kit, which includes a probe, a shovel, and a Berry Box. Go do it. I mean, if you need a new beacon, if you're questioning whether yours is still good, if you're going to start spending some time in the backcountry and you do not own a beacon, taking your first Avi 1, whatever you're doing, go get this thing because it is hugely important and you must have it in the backcountry. Okay? Mammut.com, promo code out of bounds 25, capital O, capital B. Cool. Thank you very much. Thank you once again to Chris Benchetler for spending the time with me. The dude is a legend, and I'm so psyched that I got to talk to him. And I hope you enjoy this, and let me know what you think. Cool. See you soon. So we are putting time codes on the bottom of these episodes now. If you would like to skip the news segment and just go straight to the Benchetler episode, if you just want to listen to the news segment, feel free to find it in the show notes. It'll tell you basically like right about when the thing starts. Same thing on the YouTube. We'll have it all segmentedized. Is that a word? Yeah, it's a word now. So check that out. And yeah, here we are. Hi there. This is the weekly news segment. This is our first time doing this, and we'll see how it goes. We'll see if this is a thing that people like. We'll see if it's a thing that I like doing. But there's a lot going on in the ski world, especially preseason. That seems to be when there's the most shit going on, is basically now through when the resorts start opening sometime in November. So few things that kind of have happened in the last week that we should definitely talk about. Yvon Chouinard gave away his whole company. Can we just talk about that for a second? Like, how insane is it that somebody builds a multi-billion-dollar company and then, like, from the ground up, and then completely gives it away? Like, what? I don't understand. I don't understand the level of, like, Ethan and I talked about it the other day. It's like you're giving away this thing that you worked so hard to build because it aligns with your values, right? There's a lot of people that talk about this shit. There's not a lot of people that actually are about it. This dude is about it. And I think that's as simple as you possibly can make it. I hope that one day I would be in the position where I'm like, you know what? I want my brand to hold the values that I've always wanted it to hold forever. But I can tell you with minimal confidence right now that would be the case. It's just so hard. Like, you have such an attachment to a brand that you create, especially on that level. And again, like, I'm sure he's doing fine. I'm sure he's financially secure for the rest of his life. But he's also, by all accounts, a minimalist, right? Like, he's somebody that just doesn't really give a shit about having money. And that's a thing that I say all the time. It's like, I don't care about money. I just need to get fed, and I need to get, like, paid enough that I can live and do the things that I want to do. This is like a totally different level of that, right? This is the owner of a major brand, of a major company that holds space in the outdoor community forever, like permanently. And he's just walking around the office in Crocs. He's just hanging out, and now he's signing away their company. There's a certain validity that comes to, I don't even think this was a marketing campaign. So like I'm going to be careful about how I say this, but when brands own who they are and they connect with whatever it is that their audience sees of them, right? They have that awareness to go ahead and be like, this is what we do. And then they go and put that out. The marketing campaign makes itself. Like, you don't have to build in a marketing campaign. This is like as real as it gets. You don't have to fluff. You don't have to make shit up. This is it, right? And Burton did the same thing. Like, Donna Carpenter went out and she was like, fuck this. We're not selling the company. Like, the company's not for sale. It's never been for sale. This is who we are, right? So to turn around and make that a marketing campaign for Burton was so easy because she already made it, right? Like, she already made that exist because she answered a rumor with a definitive statement about how she felt across the whole company. And I just think that's really cool. So for people that are in marketing, for people that give a shit about the marketing of things and that give a shit about the way brands are kind of presented to an audience, this is really, really cool. And obviously everybody that is a Patagonia ambassador, everybody that on the internet, us included, has shared this article and has shared something about it and kind of given all the props in the world to this company. And I don't want to make it sound, this is not breaking news. This is just, it's just a fucking cool thing that somebody did and that happened. And I can't wait to see what else that brings in the outdoor community. Like that'll change the perspective of a lot of people when they look at their own businesses and they look at what they want to do, what they are, and what their ethos is kind of. I think it's big news. It's global news, obviously. New York Times broke it. And hopefully more people are like Yvonne Chouinard. And that's really all I can say. Other things that are kind of happening in the outdoor space. Is this in my face? Is this good? Is this where it needs to be? It's fine there. I keep moving things. I always move it when I talk. It's noisy when I move it? Oh, sorry to everybody listening. I'm not super sorry to Ethan, but there's snow. Snow happened. They're in a basin. It snowed. And that's really the only news that I can tell you that I'm just like, what is happening, right? Temperatures are dropping pretty much everywhere. I'm getting a Weather Channel notification basically every day about how things are cooling down and things are starting to happen and significant temperature drop in your area. East Hampton, Massachusetts is going to see a severe decline in temperatures this week. And I think that means only one thing, and that's that the ski season is coming. So that is, that's something to keep an eye out. Mount Washington Observatory posted a picture of the top of Mount Washington, and everything is frozen as fuck right now. And it's just so cool to see that it's happening, and I'm excited. And like everybody's juices are kind of starting to flow, and that's just the thing that comes with preseason. Everybody's like ready. I've been like posting about it for a month. Mountains have been doing their 100-day countdowns and driving everybody nuts. It's time. It's time to start thinking about it. Obviously, don't give up on the bikes, but this is it's the best time of the year to ride your bike. But this is hype time. Speaking of hype time, a lot of movie premieres going on. A lot of stuff happening in likely your local area. Denver has a premiere or had a premiere this past week. I believe they have another one this upcoming week for Level 1's tour, which includes like Freehand by Jake Magoo. Parker White's new film, Parker and Friedel's new film. That's going to air. That premieres, I think, this Friday. But there is a showing of basically the whole Level 1 film tour in Burlington in about 2 weeks. It is the 30th, I believe. 30th in Burlington. So I will see people there. Hopefully we'll see some friends. Ethan, intern Matt, myself, and Brandon from Darn Tough are all going to hang out, go golf, and then I think we're going to go see a movie premiere in Burlington. So come hang out with us. Come do some stuff, and I hope you enjoyed this week's segment of the weekly news. We will have some more stuff, and I'll have some more actual news for next week. But as most of my ideas go, this kind of just got pulled out of my ass this morning, and we're implementing it right away. So we'll see how it goes. Once again, don't forget to, if you have questions or you have things you want to hear talked about it on the show, we do have a phone number, and I'm going to get that for you right now. So call in, ask questions if you want to talk about stuff, you want to hear us talk about stuff, you want your questions read on air, you want gear that's talked about. We will have a time dedicated to that. If you have a certain host you want to answer a question, let us know that as well, and we can get that to them. The voicemail number is 877-927-3955. Give us a call. We'll work that into the show at some point. But for now, I will see you. I guess the episode's coming right after this. So enjoy the episode with Chris Bentchetler. I will see you guys for this segment next week as well. And then we have Elsa from Slut Strand Society on next week. So see you then. Peace.
All right. My name is Chris Benchetler. I am a skier and an artist from Mammoth Lakes, California.
Awesome.
Yes.
So what you lately it seems like I've seen more and more and more of your artwork. So let's kind of start off there. Let's talk a little bit about what got you into making artwork, and then got you into like selling art and putting it out there and then putting it on skis. I think because that's a big jump from just making it for yourself and making it because you enjoy it to like actually
Yep,
being to the point where you can sell it and kind of like, I don't know, the business aspect of it.
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, why you've seen so much art lately is just circumstances. My wife has been battling a very aggressive cancer. We have two children, and I have an art studio in my home. So while the little one's napping, or I can put on a TV show and get a couple hours of painting done. And then obviously from a ski perspective too, with the success of my ski over the last 15 years now, there's been additions and iterations. So I now have 5 different models. And we're always a couple of years ahead. So creating is necessary. And I never want my art to turn into a job or feel like a job. I want to keep that passion as the main driving force, and so I don't lose the creativity. So the more I create, the more I paint, then I kind of have options to choose from, and I don't force myself into a box just to try and get a graphic done on time. So there's different motives for painting, but the main one is I am inspired to paint. It's therapy. It's very meditative for me. I can't just leave the kids at home and go for a quick bike ride or go rock climb as once what I used to do. So with how much solo father time I've put in this year, I just have been spending a lot of time in my studio.
That's awesome. Yeah, and it's great work. It's beautiful, and I think so many people enjoy. It's funny because a lot of times people just put out artwork and it's really great, but you don't see people attach themselves to it quite as much as I think people have done with some of your stuff. And I
Mm-hmm.
think one of the reasons people do that so much is because it seems very like ski inspired, right? It's like a lot of mountain based. And I just see people. I run a ski shop, and you see people come in with the screenshot of your ski in hand,
Mm-hmm.
and every single time, that's like the only thing they're looking for. I've never seen a ski be like people be so attached to a ski graphic and make it like part of their own identity the way that they have with your ski line. So, why do you think that is? And yeah, I guess why do you think people have found that level of connection with the stuff that you're putting out?
That's a great question. I mean, it's humbling to hear you say that. From a ski shop perspective,
Yeah.
I obviously know people resonate with my work and my skis, but I think there's a lot of layers to that. I mean, we can obviously dive into this a little deeper, but my relationship with the Grateful Dead and the community they've built and the fan base that they've built, that it's generations, and I see generations of people. I have kids that are inspired by my work all the way to their parents, so it's pretty incredible just to see what I've built. And I think authenticity is maybe a great answer there. Like my artwork is just a window into my soul and an extension of me. And I've spent, of course, there's deeper meaning to all of my work, and there's hardship, and there's loss of friends and loss of mentors and my father. And there's so many consistent elements in my work that relate to harder topics, if you will. But like you said, the connection, the community, everything that I have in my life is poured into my work. And so I think so many people, mountain towns and even surfing and all the other elements I have, it's people feel that connection to nature, and the connection to animals, and the connection that I try to express in my work. And it's a widespread global connection, and so I guess I've just found a niche that really speaks to people. I mean, because it's interesting, from an art perspective. I didn't major in fine art or go to college for it, but it's a lot of art history. I can't speak to this for sure, but Picasso's and, some of those more famous artists, I don't know that there was even an art school. It's just them
Right.
expressing themselves and experimenting and trying new mediums and all of these different things. And that's how I've treated my artwork. And I think the ability to have my art on a global scale, that feedback is what you're talking about. I've people all over the world that tattoo my work on themselves and have a permanent fixture of my artwork, which is very, just humbling to see the connection it has. And so I think because I'm getting that feedback and people are walking in, and it just inspires me to keep creating and keep expressing myself. And it's just another layer to my appreciation for ski community, outdoor community, and just everything that I've built these last 20 years.
Yeah, that's got to be a very surreal experience to have people tattooing things that you've made on them on their bodies like permanently. That's something not many people get to say or see.
Absolutely. I mean, and I don't know how to navigate it. I mean, it may even be more like, for a while there, so many people kindly like offer to pay me for my art, but then you give a high res image out there, and then it turns into a t-shirt. And then, like, I've seen my art, which people are doing are telling me like inspired, but I've seen it printed off the internet onto
What?
bands' shoes. I've seen it printed onto ties. I've seen it on belts. I've seen it, and I'm like, holy cow! Like this, my art is everywhere. I can't ever keep a track of this. So, yeah, from a tattoo perspective, so many people want commissions, but the amount of time it takes me to draw, and I don't like to put myself in a box once again. So it's like someone wants Old Man Winter doing a certain thing or whatever it is, and I would rather express my creativity, make it available in print form is kind of what I've landed on. Like, you can buy my art as a limited edition chiclet print and take that into the tattoo artist to then have that be your high resolution image, instead of just making it widely available on the internet where it can go wherever it
Yeah.
wants to go after that. So it's been a trip, and very amazing that people want my work on them. And I mean, I encourage people, even if they want to pay me or just do it, I tell them to just do it, because I would rather just like see all these images and know that my work is inspiring people on that level. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. It's also crazy to me that people just think some of that stuff is okay. Like it doesn't like trigger any natural response in their head that like, hey, I'm printing someone else's work just for ha-has on t-shirts and belt buckles and all that
Yeah,
kind. Like
totally.
that seems insane.
It is a little bit crazy, but you can't control it. And so,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure the same things happened with some of the, Starry Night or the Mona Lisa
Yeah,
or
right,
whatever.
right.
Like, how many people sell prints of that stuff? And that's ultimately what makes originals and one of one work so valuable. It's like, if you own the actual genesis or origin of that piece, it's pretty special.
Yeah, for sure. It actually has that unique bit to it for sure. Who have you kind of taken like have you taken inspiration from other artists? Are there people that you kind of look to as you were developing your own style that you really looked at and you were like, this is something that I really vibe with, or was it mostly like taking things from, things like the Dead or skiing or whatever?
Um, yes, I take inspiration from everywhere. My main source of inspiration has been the mountains and Mother Nature. Like, that's my ultimate teacher. But of course, I'm so heavily influenced by the people that surround me. And, I've skied for decades with Eric Pollard, and he was an artist. And, like, not that I ever try to recreate something that he's doing, but subconsciously, like, we're sharing art with each other, we're sharing graphics with each other, and I'm just seeing this stuff around me all the time. No doubt that it's inspired me. And then, I have a really good friend, Todd DeCurcio, who did major in fine art, and he lives in Brooklyn, and he's, more underground artist, but has a wide collector base, and he is way more abstract than me, and we collaborated for the Grateful Dead piece, and that broke my brain a bit and allowed me to like deconstruct my work more and really let go of perfectionism, which is what I'm learning now more and more, what Picasso and these people meant, that it took a lifetime to paint like a child, or whatever his famous quote is because you have to, you as an artist, or as myself, I can only speak for myself, but trying to recreate faces when I was a kid and do pencil sketches and shading, and you try to get everything perfect to whatever that photograph is, or whatever, if you're painting still life or anything in art class in high school or in those younger classes, you're really trying to perfect that craft. And then as I've become an artist and it's all internal and just an expression of me, then it allows me to be much more free flowing and let,
Mm.
you know, things just happen and paint over something that I really liked, just to have that mental, like, and I guess I'm not articulating this very well, but just breaking it down mentally and allowing that process to happen. So Todd's helped that. And then I painted a bunch with my friend Skywalker, we've always had super similar styles. So that was a really easy collaboration because he he uses Mother Nature as an inspiration, and he uses like that obvious black dark line work like I do. And there's a lot of similar art out there. So no doubt that I come across something that kind of store in the back of my mind without even realizing it, that'll inspire me down the road. But
Yeah.
um yeah, there's, the list could go on. Those are just people like in my ether that I have worked with closely, but absolutely just some of the bigger artists out there that have, I mean, even Banksy just has his
Yeah.
approach to what he does, and that documentary Exit Through the Gift Shop, and some of the street artists out there that are, just creating for the sake of creating is pretty inspirational to me. So
Yeah, that's it's crazy. I like when people kind of acknowledge that kind of stuff and acknowledge that, like, everybody takes inspiration from everything. I feel like sometimes you talk to people and they're like, "Oh, I just kind of made it up. Like, it's nothing, right?" But everybody, even when I see stuff, it just kind of gets stored subconsciously in the back of your head, and then it kind of triggers something, and you have like your reaction, your take on it. And I think that's what makes a lot of some of this art so beautiful, right? Is that it's your perspective on things that you're kind of taking in from your environment.
absolutely. Yeah, even if it's a color palette or whatever, I mean,
Right.
certain times of day in the Sierra, or the Sierra in general, like what the colors of those mountains, and is it photographs I've seen of Pondella that I've worked with for 20 years now, like, or there's so much inspiration out there. So yeah, it would be dishonest of me to say that I'm not inspired by like the whole ecosystem around me,
Right.
so.
Let me ask you a bit about Eric's work, because his artwork has always been beautiful, and it was kind of the first skis that I remember looking at and being like, this is artwork on a ski, right? Like, especially with like the Sir Francis Bacons and all those skis that were so popular at Line. And now he's
Mhm.
with Season, and Season's whole bit is like these all black, like very clean looking, and they're beautiful. And honestly, some of my favorite looking skis personally, just because they're so simple.
Mhm.
Is it interesting to you that like he's gone from like this like artwork on a ski, like in depth painted, to like being part of this ski company and owning the ski company that's just like making all black everything?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's just evolution. Like I've gone the complete other way. I went,
Right.
if you look at the history of my skis, I tried simplicity, I tried wood grains, you just experiment as an artist. And I think their main focus is sustainability, to
Right.
not have a alter like a changing graphic every season, which I completely understand too. But I think what I've realized working with Atomic and expressing art, like what you said at the beginning, all of these different skis resonate with different people. And though
Mm.
someone might buy my skis in 2010, the next person that buys them in 2011 gets that graphic, and then the person that had them in 2010 maybe re-ups in 2013. So I don't think it's forcing the people to just buy them every year. So that logic of like changing graphics is unsustainable, and it's like you're hopefully bringing in new consumers and new fans of the work and new fans of the ski and trying new technology. So I think the life cycle of skis in general is being figured out, and there is sustainability issues with just the ski industry in general,
For sure.
outdoor industry in
Right.
general,
Yeah.
like recycling skis, recycling boots, the amount of plastic and all the things like that is being addressed and needs to be addressed. But from a graphic perspective, I am more inspired more than ever to like keep updating and keep adding new and keep evolving in a more psychedelic realm or wherever I'm taking my art. It's really digging deep into my mind, and it's become this physical timeline of my work that you can really look at. Like the first few skis were so insanely inspired by Japanese culture and my time spent there and how much I love the people and the food and
Mm.
the like anime. There was so much inspiring my work then, just because I was so taken back. I didn't travel a lot as a kid. I didn't have a ton of worldly experience. My first time on an airplane was for a ski competition. So my trip there with JP Auclair, which was kind of when I launched my first ski, that was when I really fell in love with Japan and just like spending time in the city, spending time at some of the temples, and just like really getting immersed in the culture influenced my work for the next few years. And then, like music started to creep in. You can see like a pretty heavy Beatles theme in one of my graphic. And then surfboard started to creep in. I went wood grain. And then, you can see
Right.
it's pretty obvious to me anyways to see the influences, but it just is all a matter of like where I'm at in that moment in time and space and where I am experiencing life. So
Right. Yeah, and I kind of feel that the way that you design skis and the way that the graphics are portrayed on the skis that you put out, it makes them where no matter how hard people ski them and no matter how many years they use them, it's almost like you have a piece of a timeline, right? So people
mm-hmm.
tend to keep them as artwork, I think, more than they do with other skis. So it's not like
Mm-hmm.
they're just dumping them and moving on either, right? They're like keeping them as something that's like close to them and represents a timeline in their own lives too.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great point and something I agree with wholeheartedly. I mean, I see people on the first generation from
Yeah.
2008, and people are still skiing them. I've seen them turned into benches. I've seen them turned into fences. I've seen them hanging on people's walls. I mean, restaurant owners in town, like the amount of people that even ask me for broken pairs just to hang on their wall. Like people really do view it as a piece of art. And so do I. It's like, it's an extension of me during that moment in time. So it's pretty cool to just see it resonate on that level.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the Dead's influence on you in recent years and in general. Obviously, I tweeted a few months ago about the Dead and like how everybody was putting everything on their ski, and this wasn't directed at you because you were one of the first doing it. I feel like, and you were one of the people that I feel like did it right, where it was like inspiration, and then you kind of like you built a thing around it. Versus a lot of these brands just take like a Grateful Dead stamp and they just stick it on things, and I think that's what Cody and I were talking about when we started talking about this thing. But
Yeah.
what is it for you about the Dead that gets you into that mindset that you relate to and that you think people relate to?
This podcast might have just extended an hour. I mean that whole experience and just them coming into my life, it has become the soundtrack of my life. And
Yeah.
I mean, to backtrack, I always had parents that listened mainly to classic rock and reggae. So it was like Bob Marley, Led Zeppelin, Stones, all of these things. There wasn't this huge catalog outside of those two genres. And so the Dead were not a huge part of my childhood because they were on the playlist, at times, but they weren't my my parents weren't deadheads by any means. They went to shows as well in the 70s and whenever else. But I have he's a family friend, but we'll call him an uncle just for the sake of how, I mean, he spends every holiday with us and everything. But he is quintessential deadhead, been to hundreds of shows. He's been following him. He's in his 50s now. He's been following him since he was 16 years old. And he nonstop, you know, in his car. And I mean, he's in Hollywood entertainment. He's a manager. So I mean, he's taken me to Neil Young. He's taken me to Bob Dylan. Like he is into music, you know, that's just part of his life. But the Dead is what shaped him into the human he is. And so when that started to click for me and started to, you know, like I just understood that how they operated and that they just never knew where they were going. And it was based completely off of feel and connection and rhythm and all of those things. That is so much how we ski and snowboard and surf and all of the things, you know. It's like that improvisation is very, very present in my life. And it's you're dancing with the mountain, and then you take that aspect of the Dead, which is like the main thing that drives their shows and the main thing that sets them apart and turns them into this incredible band that's been, I mean, a lot of people don't consider them the Dead anymore, but the fact that most of the members have been playing together since the 60s, right, and they're still the same fans, and the kids and then their kids, you know, it's like a generational movement that is still following them. But the community, the culture, like the people that I've met that love the Grateful Dead is some of the most incredible. They just leave you with hope. They leave you feeling inspired. They leave you, in Bill Walton's words, they leave you invincible when you leave a show. But yeah, I mean, I just started to see it. I started to feel it. And then when it got brought into my skiing, it came directly from Warner Music Group, from the Grateful Dead. And now looking at like what they've built and who they are, and then they've always been doing product collaborations. So it's, even for me, I'm like, whoa, they do a lot of product collaborations, but that's the Dead. Like they told everyone, you know, Jerry's like, come record us. We don't care. Like everybody's welcome. We want everyone here. This is culture. This is us. And so it's the exact same thing. Like, hey, here's Grateful Dead merch for everyone. You know, you can't afford a pair of skis, go buy a pair of sandals. You can't afford this, you know? And so there's a crazy approval process. I know all the upper management at Rhino Records and Warner Music. I've become personal friends with them. And I mean, David Lemieux, who was our music supervisor, is the legacy manager of the Grateful Dead. And he hand stamps and approves every single collaboration. So they have meetings upon meetings and like look into the history of the brand and like the authenticity and all of these things. So from my perspective, it's like, bring it on, more power to them, you know, like they have transcended it with the addition of John Mayer. And I mean, I would have never listened to John Mayer's music.
I was going to ask you how you felt about this.
I mean, there's a lot of people, like I said, that don't feel it, that won't even go to a show because they don't feel, without Jerry, they don't feel like it's the same band, but they're a super group. You can't deny that their talent is just like
right
on another planet, you know? And I mean, personal time spent with Mickey Hart and with Bill Walton. Bill Walton's been to over 1,000 shows. Like just that one human being has gone to that many shows, and his wife has been there to a lot of them, and his kids have been, and I just talked to him a few days ago because we're planning some things. Maybe we can allude to that.
What a flex! Kind of a flex.
Yeah, I guess that does sound pretty awful, but
I love it.
He was telling me that he's like, he goes to music. I think he went to a Neil show. I think he went to a Dylan show. He was just telling me, he's like, yeah, I was on tour with the Dead. I went to Boulder and, you know, Hollywood and Shoreline and blah, 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 blah. So like he is still following that band around, and he is the most busy human. So just to see that connection and that culture, that community, all of those things are directly relatable to our ski community and surf culture and snowboard culture. Like it is, it goes hand in hand. And they, the Dead themselves, like talking over all these projects that I've done, it's they feel it. They're inspired by nature. They were some of the greatest storytellers, Hunter and all of them, the writing they've done and the lyrics they make. It's like it's music for our soul, for people that really connect with nature and understand what they're doing. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
I
insane.
don't know if that was the greatest answer. That was pretty long-winded of like the whole ecosystem of what I built, but yeah, just being able to have conversations with these people. And I mean, I got an email this morning of a guy in Chile who's friends with Bob Weir, who he's trying to get my skis still that we released in whatever 2019. And he's like, met someone, and they were talking about my skis, and he's like, oh man, I missed them. I want them. Do you have any left? Like those kind of, it's just nonstop with the Dead culture and with skiing. It's goes hand in hand.
Yeah, that's yeah, Chris, that's amazing. Like I really think that even having a personal relationship with like the people at the record label and like and Bill Walton and like all these people that it connects you to is very and one of the most crazy things to me is the way that it now, like everybody seems to get it, right? Like everybody seems to get why they love the Dead. Like anytime you ask someone, it seems like they all have a similar answer, and it's just like it connects all of them immediately. Like you can not know someone at all on the street, and then all of a sudden you have that in common, and you could talk to them for forever. It seems like.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it influences their life. It influences how they raise their children. It
Yeah.
influences decisions they make. And yeah, I mean, it's a trip to see. And I exactly that. I mean, my van is a billboard for the Grateful Dead, but I'll drive it even locally here. I was mountain biking, like both my kids and my wife coming out with our bikes and stuff. And this woman runs up with a "Steal Your Face" on her shirt. She's like, I have to give you a hug. It's just like an immediate conversation starter. I like get notes left on my windshield and stickers, and it's insane. It's like some of the most passionate, incredible people. And they are just living the dream, which all of us in these mountain towns are doing the same.
Yeah. I think it's also the connection to like psychedelics and the Dead have also been a really big part of things too, where for some reason, and I don't know, that connection seems like it's very integrated into what a lot of people feel for it, and they feel whatever's going on at a higher level, whatever they're doing, whether it's psychedelics or smoking weed or whatever it is that like makes people feel that connection a little deeper, at least, from the outside looking in, it's an interesting way to go. And like, I don't think it's marketing, but it's marketing in the sense that like people all feel connected in this way. And it's very bizarre to me. I love it. And that part of it, I think is very, people just seem to get it. Like they just
Yeah,
seem to get it.
absolutely. I mean, you can relate it to a religion, really.
Right.
It's like they speak the same language, they have the same beliefs. If from a psychedelic nature too, you just feel in touch with the
Right.
universe and Gaia and all of these things. And I mean, it's connection is what it breaks down to. And you're connected to the band, you're connected to the people, you're connected to the art, the music, everything that comes along with it.
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk a little bit about kind of the newer direction in art, which is NFTs and like kind of making this product that's available digitally. I read a little bit, like you were kind of touching on the fact you actually posted this really well thought out thread on NFTs and kind of your personal experience and how most of your artwork has been very physical over the years and now kind of transitioning into this as of late. Not that it's a full like you're still doing obviously the physical aspect of things, but What
Yeah.
what has that been like for you? What is the benefit of NFTs for you and that you can see for other artists?
It's a really hard question to answer. I mean, I spent so much time trying to educate myself, and the deeper I got, the more confused I got.
Same.
And
Okay.
I just like podcasts and reading and articles and asking, and everybody has a different perspective. It's like PFP collections, like I talked to some of the highest people in the space because I fortunately have a large network, right?
Yeah.
From skiing and just whatever. I mean, even my ability to be on Super Rare is like
Right.
a long waiting list, and you have to get invited, and all of these things. Like because I have my artwork globally known, and because I have skiing and all of these things, it's just like, oh, that person knows this person who helped, develop Bitcoin. Basically, that's
Right.
not entirely true,
Right.
but
Right.
more or
Right.
less, I'm like talking to someone I met at Baldface who's in the tech world, who knows someone who was early investor in .com and like internet development and all this. So I talk to a lot of very intelligent people, and even the most intelligent people all have different perspectives and different ideas. Some people are like, utility is all that matters with NFTs. You need to offer something, whether it's like an experience with you or availability to your Zoom calls or like meeting once a month. And then other people are like, fuck that, I'm in it just for the art. Like one-on-one art is all I care about. And it was just an overload of information, and it still is very confusing to me, but it is something that I've asked myself again and again. I'm like, okay, how did I try to look back? How did I feel when 16 millimeter stopped and we've switched to digital cameras, and then all of a sudden you're watching your footage in the field and you're looking, oh crap, I could improve my grab a little bit. Like you had film cameras, film still cameras, everything was this analog process that took a very long time. And then the birth of the internet. And then we saw, Eric and Pep and Andy and I, like, were very, very early in free content online before anyone was doing it. And like putting all of our artwork out there, meaning our skiing,
Yeah.
our art form was for free on the internet, and believing in the internet and seeing what social media turned into. So it's like, I'm like, okay, there's this buzzword Web3 or, NFTs, like, what does this mean? And I can't entirely wrap my mind around it. But what I do know is I'm the type of person who wants to learn and wants to grow and evolve. And so at first it was all the information about how bad it was for the environment. So I was like, ooh, okay, I don't think I want to go down that road. And then talk to people that are like, that's completely false. It does use a ton of energy, but there's brilliant minds that are working towards proof of stake that Ethereum will live on this blockchain that uses a fraction of what this system uses. Or they're like, look at the normal banking system, like how many branches are there, how many employees are there, how much energy for lighting and security, and like you just have all these people like throwing ideas at you. You're like, okay, Switzerland here. I'm taking Switzerland route. I don't even want to try and understand and make it political at all. So I was like, okay, remove that thought process, just like focus on the art of why do I want my art on the blockchain? What does that mean for me as an artist? And that's, you artists get 100%, or you mint, and depending on what you mint on, like Super Rare does take a percentage, but you get a vast majority of your sale. And then if it's resold, you get a percentage every time. Whereas like a gallery takes 50% of your sale. And then if that resells, and your family and anything, your legacy you leave behind, like it's encrypted on the blockchain. So my kids, there's a smart contract that will always pay my crypto account when my art sells. And so my kids will be passed down that artwork, and they will continue to get benefits from that. And that just doesn't exist in the real art world. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. Like, if you're creating to sell and get your artwork out to the world, then this is clearly like a pretty well thought out way to do that, to give to the sovereignty of artists, you know. So that was intriguing to me. And just did, you know, I know nothing about video games and World of Warcraft or Minecraft and all these things. But I do know there's full on metaverse type things happening for children, like in a very large way globally. And so when you go into these games and you can go into a gallery space and there's, you know, a Chris Benchetler piece and a whatever Picasso piece right next to it in a digital gallery or whatever that is, it's getting my work to a much broader audience and getting new collectors, getting personal, back to the community thing. Like I have personal relationships with the collectors that I have sold to. And I mean, I do in real life too, obviously, but you are talking directly to them. Whereas in a gallery setting, you might never get, as a buyer at Sotheby's or Christie's or whatever, you will likely never communicate with the artist. You know, you're just buying a piece of art that on the wall that means something to you, that's famous for whatever reason it's famous for. So there's all those elements, but I think believing in that Web3 will be part of our future, and I don't see it necessarily going anywhere, um, is a huge reason. And just trying to, like, the whole reason I do art is to share my views on the world and to share my soul with the world, and that's just another platform to do it. So I've taken the opportunity to kind of go down that road.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting to me because I think, and what you say about like the internet and social media and putting videos out for free online and like thinking about how people perceive that stuff in the initial, like obviously there's some pushback on that kind of stuff when it first comes out too. For me, the biggest thing that deters me, and I'm sure deters a lot of other people from the NFT space, is understanding it, right? Like, is just understanding what it is. Like, I have such a hard time figuring out what's what, and that's where it becomes, and I'm sure this is the case with a lot of people, where you're like, I don't get it, right? Like, I don't understand what I'm supposed to do. I don't understand how it works. But the point you
Yeah.
made about it reaching a broader audience is really important to note, right? Like, it's the way we do a lot of things. It's the way people consume podcasts, right? It's like I told you before the show, like doing the video aspect of it adds something to what we do here, right? It's kind of the same idea. And there's other shows in skiing that are like, I'll never do video because it's not the purest podcast form. I'm like, well, does it really matter? Like, what does that even mean, right? Like, it's all the same thing, and you're trying to
Yeah.
get the purpose and the content out to more people.
Yeah. And I mean, using your podcast as an example, it's like it's technology that's opening so many doors that's so far beyond my scope of knowledge. But say you create an NFT for your podcast that then gives people access into your podcast room and who you're interviewing and allows them to watch and interact and ask questions and do like Web3 is so technologically advanced, and there's going to be so many elements of that it just seems like the possibilities are limitless from what I can learn. And I mean, going back to just art, you know, there's creators, there's collectors, and there's people that are investors, we'll call it, like flipping, trying to make money. And I'm not there to flip my art. I'm not there to like, I'm using it as a gallery space, for lack of a better word, to showcase my work to that broader audience. So if my stuff doesn't sell immediately, like, I don't mind. This isn't like, NFTs aren't my livelihood, and it's not, all my eggs are not in that basket. It's like I'm using my creativity and creating and believing in the space, and I'm putting my work out there for people to view and see and ultimately collect if they resonate with it, you know. And so that's the simple terms of why I'm doing it. You know, it's just another way to share my experiences and share my creativity with the world.
sorry to interrupt this conversation, but we have a sponsor to tell you about, and that is Gravity Grabber. Gravity Grabber is the best ski holding system, ski storing system that exists on planet Earth. It's seriously so easy. It's been around forever. You can hold skis, snowboards, broomsticks, ski poles, arms, really whatever you want. This crew of people has created a product that is as timeless as it gets. Make your gear room not look like garbage this season. Keep everything organized. Even if you're putting your skis in your front hallway, get some of these, let it hang. And I got to tell you, the benefits of like letting the thing hang dried too, very significant. That is a thing. So hang your skis. Oh, shovels. Ethan's got a video going. We got shovels being hung, some other device, some shears or clippers. I don't know what we call those things. And then something that appears to just be a metal rod being held in the Gravity Grabbers as well. So a multi-use product, if there has ever been one. You can go to gravitygrabber.com and use promo code Out of Bounds to save 15% off on your purchase. Ethan, that's right? That promo code? Yes. Out of Bounds for 15% off. Save yourself some money. Get organized this ski season. And we're back to the episode with Chris Bentchetler. Yeah, and you don't find it takes anything like time-wise or commitment-wise, you don't feel like it takes anything away from the physical aspect of art at all, do you?
Not for me, because I'm still physically painting. Like
Right.
so basically I paint my pieces, and then if I shoot it like I do just to have it for my archive and turn it into ski graphics or whatever I do, then I have that and I can just release it as a JPEG, or I can, I work with an animator in the UK who's become a good friend of mine to help me animate my vision, to like bring my painting to life so it does have something different than my in real life collectors are getting with what they're hanging on their wall.
Mm.
And so, yeah, I mean, it's not taking away from my creation process at all. It is taking away more time, and time is valuable, like for me to even, plug in my ledger and log on to my accounts, and all of that is like
Right.
stressful and confusing, like you said, and there's like so many layers to it. It's just another thing I have to learn, and I it takes away time from the family and all of those important things. But once again, I'm someone who likes to learn. I'm someone who likes to push myself and evolve and try new things. And yeah, I just believe in it and think there will be a future there. And I could be totally wrong, but
I mean, it's worth
but
trying. Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
I don't
totally.
see, yeah, I don't understand it enough to be like, I have a hard stance one way or the other. The only one that in terms of all this, the newer stuff that's kind of going on, I don't know that I understand things like the Outerverse or whatever outside's calling it. Like that one's been a little tough for me
Yeah.
because they like canceled a bunch of the physical magazines and then and they laid off a ton of people and then they're paying people a bunch of money, which again, like I always have a hard time when it's an athlete promoting it or an athlete pushing it. I'm like, take the money, like for sure, like take it, like
Yeah.
get paid wherever you can. I But at the same time, I'm like, all right, these people are just laying off a bunch of people and then just switching out who they find important at that time. And it just seems
Yeah.
very much like using people for what they're worth and then dumping them
Mhm.
to the side as soon as they're not, like, it doesn't make them as much money anymore. And that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And I feel like a lot of people have that same opinion about that category of things.
Yeah.
And I kind of wonder how you feel about it. And I also, I want to make very clear, I don't think those are the same things at all, right? Like I very much, I understand the difference. They came out almost at the same time. So I think people they attach the two things together very much as the same, you
Totally.
know?
Totally. Well, yeah, I mean, I agree with your perspective. I think the Outerverse reached out to me and wanted me to be involved. They knew I had success in selling, some work. And so I wasn't interested. I think a lot of companies are having these conversations, and the more companies we bring in and the more our Web3 brings in, and the
Mm-hmm.
more it can help us as just average people understand it, is great for everyone. I mean, like what Travis Rice did for natural
Right.
selection, he had an NFT portion. They built their own blockchain. But and so I've had opportunity after opportunity and questions, like what earlier in my conversation, some of those very intelligent people I was talking with, they're like, let's turn your old man winter into a 10,000 collection like you see with Bored Apes or all of these things.
Right.
And it gives people access to like buying your skis early or doing this. And I was just like, you know what? It's like a chasing the shiny ball and maybe it works,
Yeah.
but it's not me. Like I create art for the sake of creating and to
Mm.
express a vision. And one of one art in the NFT space feels valuable to me. And I don't think it'll
Mm.
ever lose that value. Like doing the cash grab and having it be a badge or an icon. Like I didn't even research the Outerverse enough. So I don't want to knock what they've built by any means. But
I will for us, but it's, yeah, okay. Like,
okay.
I
I
get it.
mean,
Yeah.
they asked me, and I've taken like a hard line. I'm just staying as an artist, and I'm going to do one of one work and editions and try and make my work accessible to people that want to collect, and that have a screen on their wall that alternates through their NFTs, or like there's all these different forms of showcasing your art now, so it doesn't just live on your phone in the blockchain. Like
Right.
that was confusing for people at the start. They're like, oh, I'll just right click save that. Okay, I
Right.
have an NFT. But the whole that's like goes to our earlier conversation actually of like people tattooing and the
Right.
origin of that piece of work and its value of the original one created. And even, I mean, from a photographer perspective, like it's incredible. There's so many photographers that wouldn't or couldn't get in a gallery setting because for whatever reason aren't considered artists, and I shouldn't say that. I hope that doesn't come across as a quote ever, but because I consider them artists, I consider
Yeah. Same.
skiing art,
Same.
but it's allowing them to build value in their work and share their work and do collections, like someone could do a collection of all the different mountains or yeah, go to Nepal and go to wherever, like take Jimmy Chin or Pondella or
Right.
whoever, these people have incredible bodies of work that you can buy prints on their site and they're numbered and they're valued. You can spend a few grand on a print on these guys, or you can own the original of that photograph. And that's what confuses a lot of people and confuses a lot of artists and photographers too. It's like the minute it leaves my paintbrush, I own the copyright and I always will. Same with my artwork on my skis, same with the artwork on my prints, on my goggles, it's like still my creation and my copyright. And I'm basically licensing it to these companies, and allowing them to use it and get my work out there. But until I sell that original origin of that piece, then a collector owns the original. And I don't own the original anymore. I still own the copyright. I could continue to make prints of it. I can continue to
Right.
license it and do whatever. But the value is in that original piece, just like the Mona Lisa. If you have the Mona Lisa, there is 1,000 different iterations and prints and whatever, but the one is what holds the value. So when you let that go to a collector in real life or digital sense, then you're giving these people a lot of value, and then if depending on how long they hold on to it, or and sadly, like a lot of art, becomes highly more valuable after the artist is dead. So we'll see what happens with my legacy and
Yeah.
my work and all of these things. But at this point, like I have people that resonate with my work and the demand is high, and I have incredible network of collectors and people that want to own my art. And I am, yeah, just humbled and grateful. And same thing with the music, or same thing with any of these people that you try to experience and have that be part of your life.
Yeah. And I think a lot of that is super important for people to one hear and kind of understand like why it's valuable and why you do it and all this stuff and some of the differences and where that line is, I guess, for you. And I guess my point too with the whole outerverse thing is like I actually there's so many people that work at outside that I really really like, and then like
Mhm.
friends that have been let go recently where I'm like, okay, this doesn't, so because outside is this big company, like it's this it's
Yep.
this huge company, they have a shorter leash than everybody, so to speak, right? So when they
Yep.
fuck up, it's like fuck outside, right? It's not like nobody hates everybody that works there. Nobody thinks they're all doing a bad job. Like everybody's just trying to make their space and do the best that they can, for sure. It's just it's like the machine, I guess, right? It's like what everybody kind of talks about all the time. It's and that's where it felt a little dirty to me more than anything. And I
Yep.
it's good to hear that like that's kind of the line that you draw for yourself, at least in this current moment, you know, because all that stuff can change too, and that's fine, right? Because the reasoning will change and your perspective changes, and you know all of that kind of shifts. So I think that's kind of an important thing for, I don't know, to note, because it's not like I'm definitely not just hating to hate, right? Like there's a
Yeah.
reason that
Yeah.
I
Of
feel a
course.
certain way, and I think there's a reason a lot of people feel a certain way because there was a right way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, there's so much that I don't understand, like even building their how they what blockchain they're on and
Right.
understanding all the different blockchains and which ones will be around forever and which ones use certain technology and which ones, there's so many layers to that that they get fed information, and I'm sure, I mean, it's a massive company, I'm sure they did their homework, but
Right.
I still have people that I trust and that advise my decision making that are like, that's a bad idea, so I'm like, okay, that's even better to know that I'm, just sticking in my lane and creating art for the art, and just trying to inspire the world through a paintbrush.
Yeah. Um, let's kind of shift gears a little bit here and let's talk about the skis. Let's talk about, I kind of want to talk about the line a little bit. Not so much the whole line, obviously, because it's been going on for just about 15 years at this point, which is nuts. It's got to be the longest standing ski line, like pro ski line, that has happened probably ever, right? Like it's been forever. Not to like make you sound like you're old, but you've been doing this for a minute now, and
I'm getting old, Adam. I'm
it's
getting old.
it's cool. I like it. And it keeps coming year after year because it's new, it's fresh, people are not sick of it, and it's really really good. And now you are creative director for Free Ski and Free Ride at Atomic. So what? How did you see it going this way? What is it like for you in your head? How do you manage that part of it? Like while being a pro skier, while being an artist, while doing all this shit, like how do you how do you do all of this at once? And did you see it going this way?
I am still learning how to manage it. I have no idea what I'm doing. And no, I did not see it going this way. That's I think that's why it's worked so well, is because you can't force authenticity. You can't
Right.
force it, to repeat what we've created at Atomic would be next to impossible, because I am I'm just me. I'm taking influences from all of those things that we've talked about, from people dying, from time spent in nature, from my connection to music and the dead, my like this whole, you can't just recreate any single human. We're all different. We're all unique, And so how I'm viewing these things and how I view skiing and how I want things to improve is always been an art form and just an extension of me. And I've seen Pollard do it such a great job in a similar way, but it's not me, and we've done it very different. And when he started his family, and Nimbus kind of fizzled because Pep and him and Andy, they were popping out kids before I wasn't ready, so I'm like, okay, this is like an amazing opportunity for me to do exactly what I want, not what us as a collective want, So I made that Chasing El Nino series, only filming with GoPro, trying to be inspired from my time growing up skateboarding and watching all the movement in those videos. They follow cam almost every single shot in a skate movie. And I was like, holy crap, gimbals exist. Like, what if I made a movie that was only follow cams, and went on a GoPro trip with Travis Rice and myself and Bobby Brown and a few people, and Matt Cook was there and he was filming us, and no one else asked Matt to quit GoPro and make a movie with them. But I was like, hey, I have this vision. Like, would you be down to quit GoPro and do something with me? And he was like, yes. And so we made that series. And then, I've always wanted a van. My wife's mother was passing away and selling her Westphalia. My wife grew up like traveling the country in Westphalia and had less interest than I did, but I was like, I'd imagine just living out of a van for a whole season, starting in San Diego and ending in Alaska. Like that's my dream, And so I just put that on the back burner because she's like, we're not buying my mom's van. It has 250,000 miles on it. It's going to fall apart. You're never going to make it. And then yeah, chasing El Nino happens, and then sprinters kind of come on the scene, and then I have a relationship with this guy that runs a car dealership, and blah 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 blah. And this is getting off topic from my skis. I apologize. Okay. But what I'm saying, I guess, is like that authenticity of just like creating for the sake of creating, and asking myself, like, do I want to make a video part for my sponsors, or do I want to make an extension of me and make something for me? And that's the same with my artwork, as the same with my entire career. It's why I haven't progressed with the rest of skiing. It's why I don't do doubles and triples. I mean, I have done doubles, but it's like I have a vision, and I'm care more about how a ski turns and how I slash than what 90 some percent of the ski community cares about. And so It's like, could that alienate me and make me lose my sponsors? Maybe, but I don't care, because that's like how I want to ski, So it's so funny. And I mean, it's like same with stepping to bigger and better lines. It's like, oh, mini golf's kind of fun. Like I want to just do super mini stuff and do butters and like hand drags and all of these things. And so staying very authentic and true to myself and my creative process has only benefited me, and it's only benefited Atomic and the skis, because finally getting back there, I apologize everyone. That's okay. Long-winded way, but it's like you can't force that. I couldn't foresee it. It's having a platform, just like Web3, just having a platform and an ability to get my vision and my art out there. It's like Atomic's given me so many opportunities to come over to Austria to try weird ideas. Like I had a prototype I tested last year that was a complete failure, but I was like, I have this crazy idea. Me and Machado shaped some random, like we shaped my own skis, I just had a surfboard shaper help me because I don't know how to shape. So I'm like constantly trying stuff that doesn't work. Sometimes it does, and so I mean, to have a brand that stands behind me to allow me to do that has been instrumental, and in letting me put some of this crazy artwork on skis. Like that was such a departure for Atomic and such a risk that they took.
Their stuff was never like that before. Like it was so far from that, actually.
Yeah, not even close. And they had no idea if it was going to work. And then it works. And then you have proof of concept. And then so now we have 15 years, like you're saying. I mean, I already have the 16th year designed. So 16 years of skis that have they've been through all the recessions. They've been through the ups and downs of snowfall and all of these things. And they keep selling because they're works of art, and people resonate with them. And they are functional works of art. It's like, it's pretty incredible. And then there's the whole Grateful Dead idea that I throw at Atomic. I'm like, we're doing this, you don't really have a choice. Like the Grateful Dead hit me up and they want to ski. You're in Austria, you probably don't know who the Grateful Dead are, but we're making this ski because of all the reasons I explained earlier. So it's just them believing in me, and what we've built together has been the success of those skis. And of course, 1000% is all of the fans and people that buy them. That's like the proof of concept. So if the skis didn't work, I guess, then maybe people would just buy them to hang them on their walls and never ski them. But the fact that they work is a benefit, I'd say.
It helps that they ski well. I was gonna say, I think no, like
Yeah.
people don't spend that money necessarily on skis unless they're truly buying it just for the art. And I think that number is a lot smaller than people who buy them to mount them and ski them and feel like they're
Yeah.
attached to something. I think that's very important. Yeah, it's something. It's a run that I don't know if anybody's gonna duplicate, and I don't know how a brand even would go about duplicating a run like that, like of having the same pro model going for that long and having it be so different year to year that people feel like they're part of it, like they're part of the experience. And I think that's credit to you. It's credit to Atomic, obviously, for believing in that vision. But it's
Hmm.
also like it's funny. I had Rachel Pohl on last week or 2 weeks ago, and we were talking about how important like luck was for her, and just being
Yep.
like right place, right time. The design hits the right person, and it ends up working. Right? It's like she's done
Yep.
work where she's like, this is the best work I've ever done, and nobody gives a shit about it. Right? I I think there's part of that too, right? Like we all have a little bit of luck that kind of makes things happen and makes it all click at the right time. And I just don't see something like this being duplicated. And I guess that kind of leads into my next question is there's not a lot of other people that have this avenue available to them after being a professional skier, right? Is this a is this a job that you can see other people getting into, that you can see other skiers getting into, like your position with Atomic now? How I don't think people think about that career path after professional skiing. And I think it kind of goes back to the ski style that you were touching on before, where like what you're doing now and the type of skiing, obviously still at an extremely high level, but you can do that forever if you wanted to, right? Like that's not a thing you stop tomorrow. It's like surfing. You could surf for forever. And I
Yeah.
think that kind of, this is the longest question ever, but um, do you see like, did you kind of look at that career path as an option for you long term? And do you see other people being able to do that?
It's don't worry about long questions. I'm only giving you long answers. I I I didn't think about it, and I don't necessarily know. I can't answer that. Going back to the authenticity. I mean, my prime example, who's become one of my dearest friends, is Rob Machado.
Yeah.
Like greatest surfer of all time, won all the contests, went completely off the grid, did birthed free surfing, before it was a thing. He's like, I'm leaving the tour, I'm doing a movie, so it's like, and then he shapes boards and he has his own company and he has like, I just have this roadmap of watching him without even real, once again going back to just like surrounding myself with those inspirations and with that subconscious just intel that's coming in all the time. I'm like, oh wow. Like I don't ever consciously like ask Rob questions like, did you have this path in mind and how did you do it? And all these things. I'm just like watching this all happen and spending time with our families and like surfing with them and shredding with them and all of the things. And I'm just like, wow, like this person is, we're cut from the exact same cloth. And there's not a lot of us in the world. Like Kelly Slater's not doing that. He's still incredible, but he's Kelly Slater, he's
Right.
not Rob Machado. And same, I mean, Candide probably, or not probably, is absolutely the greatest of all time. And there's, I don't think that can be debated,
I don't
like,
think so
and
either.
he, he is doing his thing and it's working incredibly well, but he's not me, he's not like, he's changing ski companies and like he's constantly evolving in a different way. And I'm trying to create something very long lasting with a brand, so it's and to be truthful to everyone listening, like my role hasn't really changed that much with Atomic. Like
Mm.
yes, I'm the creative director, and yes, I guess I have more decision making power, but they already leaned on me so heavily to make decisions. And like I was doing so much behind the scenes that it's really just every band needs a front man. They still have a
Yeah.
team of designers and people and everyone doing like the day-to-day meetings and work. And I just can't realistically be there and do that. So I am just like higher level, inspirations, decision making on, like the bent line is very present in in
Right.
atomic ski.
Right.
And it's like they want artwork, or we've had art on poles and they want it on boots and helmets, and like the artwork, the idea wants to go everywhere. So it's making sure we we pick and choose the right products at the right time and do the right things for all of that stuff. So that, yeah, my role is very similar to what it was. So to answer your question, here as we go with the very longest answer ever. I think yes, like it can be repeated. Just be an authentic person, care about the company you work for, care about your skiing, care about your art, and only do it for you, and you'll walk in my shoes, you know? Like I just have always made every decision for what I felt was the right decision, you know, even if people told me I was crazy. Like every single person I know, even including that talent manager in Hollywood who followed the Dead, told me there was no way in hell I was making a movie with the Grateful Dead. And here we are, you know?
Yeah,
So,
I guess, and one of the reasons I asked that too is because we talk a lot on this show and in general on social about like making a career out of skiing, right? And like getting paid your worth and getting like actually being able to make a sustainable career out of this sport, because you see it happen so often where people are working 3 jobs all summer to make their winter season happen, or they're doing all the things that I'm sure like that so many people do. And I just think that the adding value aspect, right? Like what you've done for Atomic in terms of like giving them someone to lean on and doing that legwork, and that stuff is really important for an athlete that's listening to this to kind of understand too, right? And obviously it's their own take, it's their own personality into it, but being able to show value in a way that's beyond just your skiing, right? Even
mhm.
if it's all based from your skiing is super important. And that's one of the things that I really think is instrumental when somebody has a career that lasts a long time, right? I mean, even you look at Douglas, right? Like Douglas is Solomon. You know this,
Yeah.
right? Like everybody, they associate the brand with the brand, and I think that's just so important, and it doesn't really get talked about enough, right? Like everybody cares about how many backflips somebody does, right? Or the edit that came out, or Candide's latest clip, rightfully so. But it's a very
Did
different
he
thing.
release one? I need
I
to
don't
go
know.
watch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if he released one, like the internet will break. All of skiing,
Yeah,
you'll see it on every page in skiing. But yeah, I just think that stuff is so important, and it's not talked about enough.
absolutely. I mean, it's we're new. We're a new sport. We're
Yeah.
creating our existence as we're living it. So it's like podcasts. All of these things are such back to Web3. There's so much we don't know, and so much you just have to like ask your heart and your soul, like, am I doing this for the right reasons? And I think if you can say yes to any of that, like the amount of people that told me NFTs were the worst idea, and this, like, I've just been told I've made mistakes everywhere, and maybe I have, and I'm trying to just be the best version of myself. I can relate it to parenting. Like, you are gonna fuck your kids up. It's inevitable. Like
Right.
as a parent, you are passing down your trauma, passing down your ideas, passing down all of these issues. But if you love them and you try your best and you're doing everything you're doing and what you're saying and what you're teaching and how you're disciplining and all of these things, if your heart is in the right place and you're doing it for the right reasons, I think it's gonna all work out. Your kids are gonna be fine. Your career is gonna work out. It's like all of these things. If you can truly answer like the intention behind what you do, then it is what it should show you light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah. Yeah, and actually like this is probably a good spot to end too. Like this is the last thing I'll ask you. How have your kids influenced what you do now? Like how has it changed your perspective, obviously not just on skiing, but as you as an artist and you as a person? Because everybody talks about that, right? And like I've talked to so many athletes and creators that kind of all have different answers, but it kind of all boils down to like their perception just changes when they have kids of everything.
Mhm.
So what's changed for you, and how is it different?
Here we go with the long answer again. Um, it it's exposed all my flaws as a human, really. Like I
Okay.
look at myself as a very patient, loving person, all of these things, which I am with my children. But at the same time, the simplest things and the simplest meltdowns will test your patience and test you. It's what you just can't explain it till you've been in those shoes. Like nothing else compares to that, because this little being, all as they want is your 100% presence and attention, and we in the society can rarely give that. We're just so distracted, we're so busy, I've worked so damn hard, like, and then I've only had kids. I have two, but my oldest is 4.5. It's been the most intense 5 years of my life. Like I, my wife's mother dies. We don't have a lot of family help. My father's dead. My mom's the only one left. Both my wife's parents are dead. She's the only child. My brother lives in Oregon. And they say it takes a village to raise kids, which is absolutely true. And so my wife's mother dies. We have the talk, like we're both selfish, we're both loving life. My wife just won Rider of the Year and blah blah blah. Like
Yeah.
we're like, this is amazing. Like, let's go climbing tomorrow. Let's go to Japan on Tuesday. Like we're just like living the life, skiing, climbing, surfing, all of the things that we love. We've built this incredible life for ourselves, but we're like, okay, like how long are we doing this? What's the importance? Who are, like, is that experience of being a parent something that we'll regret not doing, and blah blah blah. So we have a conversation, obviously decide to have children, and it was the greatest decision we've ever made, but it's the ultimate test of our relationship, of our everything. So we go, we have a child, then we go into my wife, who's an incredible snowboarder, like being written up in New York Times that her contract with Burton is now being addressed like on a global scale because Nike just screwed over all their runners, and there's like all this stuff happening. So then my wife's pressure to get back to snowboarding while she's breastfeeding, while we're learning how to navigate being parents. There's just so much extra stress coming in and so much new experience that we're like, holy crap, this is crazy. And then we go into Fire on the Mountain, which is by far and away the most complex and complicated movie I've ever made, and anything. I mean, I directed, I produced, I helped finance, I pretty much did everything. Like I made the relationships with the dead, I did all of these things, and I had help along the way, but it all fell on my shoulders. Like
Right.
TGR was just distribution. They weren't financing anything, they weren't doing anything behind the scenes. They were just a platform for it to live on after it was created.
Mm.
So that was a crazy stressful learning experience. And then our son, in that process of like touring the film, got a kidney disease and almost died, and that was crazy. And then we go into COVID, and then we go into having another child, and then we go into my wife having stage 3 or basically stage 4 because of the tumor size, but a very aggressive breast cancer. So like, and that's been our last year. So I've had to be the most like stable, present parent that I could have never imagined the shit I've had to do. Like I'm just like banging my head against the wall sometimes just because like a break and therapy and all of these things, probably for the amount of stuff that we've gone through. And going back to painting, I mean, painting is an incredible way to let that energy through me and like I said, like look into my soul and be introspective and really ask myself the deep questions and let it come out. But going with the long answer again, being a parent is, I did not see any of this coming. And if this first 4 years is any indication of the rest of my kids' lives, like I'm in for a serious treat. It has been the most challenging, rewarding, every emotion I could ever imagine, but every challenge I could imagine too. So been wild.
I don't know. I don't know how you deal, man. I feel stressed, like just hearing, like listening to it. I feel my stress level like rising through my hairs. Like it's good on you, man. That's crazy. That's such
Thank
a
you.
it's that's to stay sane during that, or even mildly sane, is a feat that not many people could handle for sure.
Well, we'll look back. We'll go another 10 years, see if I was actually sane during all this time. See what my kids remember. But I'm trying my best, just like what we talked about earlier with the career and skis and everything. You just do what you can and try your absolute best.
For sure. Awesome. Well, Chris, this has been great. I appreciate the time very much. Where can people find you on the internet? Where can people find you? Twitter, Instagram, your website, which is very good, by the way. I always appreciate
Thank
when an
you.
athlete has a good website or like a creator has a good website. It's very exciting to me because one, it makes my job easier because like I can just go to a place, find stuff that they've done, and like do a little bit of background before we have this conversation. But
Awesome.
where can people find you?
Yeah, I mean, Chris Benchetler is all of my handles. I do have an art specific Instagram, and then which is Chris Benchetler Inc., which I've started making some merch and things just for more accessible art because my art is in high demand, so the value increases and all of these things. But I have so many incredible ski fans and so many people that I want my art to live on different mediums, so everyone can kind of enjoy it. So yeah, I mean, I my website Chris Bentchetler, my Instagram's Chris Bentchetler, and then Twitter. If you care to know my take on NFTs or anything. Like I've just treated Twitter as NFT because I lost Twitter for years, maybe 6 or 7 years. It got hacked, and I was like, sweet, I don't need Twitter anymore, like because it's just social media is so much work in itself, and then the NFT journey started, and they're like, you have to have Twitter. That's the only way to communicate with collectors and artists and stuff. I was like, oh crap. So recovered Twitter and turned that into just like an NFT ecosystem, just where I'm sharing my art, my ideas, my, updates from the studio or whatever. So
Sick.
that is, that's more or less it. And then films, we didn't, I alluded to something at the start, but yeah,
Oh
I have
yeah,
some
yeah,
more.
yeah. Let's
I have some.
real quick. Yeah, yeah. Let's talk about that. We don't have to talk about it. Talk about it. But what's going on? Like, just like let's give a little teaser here.
Little teaser. Yeah, I've been ever since I closed the chapter on the first fire on the mountain. It was the most inspiring piece of art I've ever created, from the book, a vinyl LP, working with the Dead, working with Mickey Hart. He scored the intro for the ESPN 60-minute special. There was like so many crazy layers to that. And I mean, I've become a friend of Bill Walton's. And so I communicate with him, and I'm like, hey, would you ever consider doing another one? And he was like, anything for you, Chris.
Oh, amazing!
But I
Holy
mean,
shit!
he wants to, and the Dead want to, and I want to. So it's just a matter of everything I just explained about the complexities of my personal life, and it's just finding the time, finding the resources, finding all the things. But there was so much left on the table, and it was an insane success. Like Fire on the Mountain was the most successful, most incredible project I've ever been a part of. But the ideas I have, I mean, I just look at it as a masterpiece, like I want to spend the time that it deserves instead of chasing my tail through that process. Like, I mean, we could talk another hour about the first fire on the mountain, but just lighting and like calling my aunt to help me sew the LEDs on the outerwear in a skeleton shape. Like there's so many things that I did myself that I'm not qualified to do. I leaned on every single friend I had, like Shane Treat, who is one of the most, you should have him on your podcast, actually. One of the most
Shane
interesting,
Treat.
yeah, one
Okay,
of the most interesting humans I know, and
I'd
just
love to.
so intelligent. Like Michelle Parker's used him to I mean, he does body retrieval on Denali. He's crazy mountaineer. He does hydronic heating systems for water parks.
That's
He
amazing.
is one of the most, he's like the success for Sweetgrass Films for their lighting movies. Like the first
No
one we
shit.
did all those years ago. He slept on a ridge in Alaska without a sleeping bag or a tent because the heli left without it. He had to like turn the generator on to warm his boots and huddle himself in a snow cave. Like he's the craziest person I know. And just I call him backcountry Jesus actually, because he'll just show up out of nowhere and rescue you out of the worst situation. But yeah, I mean, I've called him. I leaned on so many people that did so many incredible things to make that project a success that I want to give back to those people and have it be. I mean, the grind and the failure and the trial, like that's what makes it so special, right? Like
Mm,
you want some element of that. You can't just have it Hollywood easy street, like all the
right.
money in the world and all the lighting in the world and all the movie, like I don't necessarily want that, but I don't necessarily think we could ever accomplish that because you're dealing with Mother Nature and
Right.
avalanches and terrain and all of the unknown variables of Mother Nature. And so, yeah, I mean, just talking with all the different athletes that have been part of it and hopefully bringing in some more and bringing in some other sports, and
Sick.
I have ideas, but sadly for you and Cody, the Grateful Dead will continue in the ski industry.
I don't have a problem with the Grateful Dead. I just have a problem with like the full on monetization of everything everywhere always. And I don't even know if I have a problem with it. I just think it's funny. Like
Yeah.
it's an interest, and I bet Cody has the same. That poor guy got like fried up in a pan, like from everybody that was just like, the Dead is the best. Like fuck you, Cody Townsend. Like his DMs. That poor guy. Yeah, it's
That's
ridiculous.
amazing.
Well, I'm glad that's coming. That's amazing. I'm psyched, and I'm sure before it comes out, we'll have another conversation. I think this is it's great, and I'm psyched. And people have no idea how many things go into making a movie, right? Let alone something like this.
Yeah.
It's yeah. This last 10 minutes has stressed me out. So thank you, Chris.
You're very welcome. Wanted to leave you with sweaty palms.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you once again. Appreciate the time. As always.